If you find yourself constantly asking what every single symptom is trying to tell you, why your chest is tight right now, why your body reacted to that food that you ate, what that really disturbing, intrusive thought is trying to direct you to, I don't think you're going to find what you're looking for. I spent 20 years searching for the hidden meaning under all of my symptoms. What were they trying to tell me? What kind of trauma needed to be released? What emotion was I suppressing? And then one day I figured out what my body was actually trying to tell me, and that was the day that everything shifted for me. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what your symptoms are trying to tell you, and why the message that you've probably been looking so fervently for has been there all the time. I'm also going to tell you how to finally know when your body is ready to give you those deeper answers that you've been looking for. Let's talk about the trap that most people fall into first. When you are sensitized, your nervous system has got locked into that threat state of fight or flight. You are getting symptoms constantly. These could be mental symptoms, they could be physical symptoms, it could be pain, it could be sensations, but they're constant. They're loud. They are everywhere. They don't stop. They're always showing up in one form or another. And of course, your brain wants to decode them. It wants to figure out what they mean, where they're coming from, how to make them stop. And it makes sense because there's so much content and information out there about physical symptoms being caused by some type of repressed emotion or rage or trauma or something very sneaky and hidden that you need to figure out. And if you can just figure out like what it is that relates to your back pain or relates to your nausea or relates to your dizziness, then it would just like poof, release. And also, of course, your brain wants to decode them. It really helps you feel like you're doing something. You feel like you're putting in some effort, you're doing the work, you're doing the digging. And that's what brains do. And one of the reasons they do it is because they want that certainty. And they also want a quick way to get to the bottom of it. And it feels very productive. It feels like healing work. It feels, I don't know, there's just something in us that wants to be moving and in action and staying busy, even when it comes to our healing. But it's not. That's not helpful when you're sensitized. It's a trap that people fall into. And the reason it's a trap is because sensitization, especially when you're locked in that loop of fear and really severe chronicity of symptoms, we can't be looking for the message in every symptom. When your symptoms are chronic, severe, constant, there is only one message for you. Your system is sensitized. It is overreacting to everything. That is it. That is the message coming through. That is the message to pay attention to. That is the message to take action from. You don't need to dig. You don't need to solve. You don't need to uncover. You don't need to figure it out. Figuring it out is one of the things that keeps us stuck in this cycle. You don't need to figure out which belief, which thought, which trigger, which trauma, which stress is making this symptom happen. You're going to want to. And I actually want you to keep an eye out for it so you don't accidentally fall into this. The signal is too loud. And you aren't going to be able to get clean, clear, truthful information from a system that's just firing and firing and firing. The work in the beginning is not really around interpreting what's going on. It's around turning down the volume. And I find this to be especially true when it comes to your thinking. I get lots of questions all the time about thoughts and thinking and scary thoughts, intrusive thoughts, ruminating thoughts. And when you're sensitized, thoughts aren't just thoughts. They aren't just information. They're very scary. They're very intrusive. They're very repetitive. They just cycle. And they're coming up because they feel like they are perceiving real, actual threatening danger. They're going to worst case scenario. They're trying to figure out what's the worst thing that can happen here so that we can protect ourselves. But you have to realize that those thoughts are being driven by the nervous system. They're being driven by the sensitization. So whether you're having sensations, whether you're having pain, whether you're having thoughts, there isn't extra information for you to find in that when you're stuck in the loop, when you're stuck on really chronic focus and fixing and figuring out and frustration locked on your symptoms and trying to make them go away. We do not want to be decoding what information does this have for me. It doesn't have information right now. That doesn't mean that it won't ever have information. So I want to talk about that. There is going to be a point at which this shifts for you. And I like to say that this shift happens when you are out of the chronic fear loop. It's just a place all of us unintentionally end up because we are so freaked out by what we're experiencing that we just get locked into this loop of trying to find solutions for it and focusing on it and magnifying it, and the system just gets further and further sensitized. That is not the time to figure out, what do these symptoms mean? What do these thoughts mean? Do I need to do anything with this? Do I need to take this and do something with it. We don't want to be asking that question when you're in that beginning stage. When you get out of that chronic fear loop, that is a point where, like I like to say, the rules kind of change. One way you'll know here is when the sensitivity starts coming down, when your flares or symptoms seem to appear to be further apart, and when your thoughts just naturally start to quiet down. You'll find that once you start desensitizing your system, the thoughts come down, the symptoms come down. Now, there are flares and there are things that the nervous system absolutely pushes back. But overall, as you're healing, you'll find that just the volume gets turned down, and you'll have these moments where you'll be like, oh my gosh, this happened for me. I used to have internal vibrations so badly. And that is one of my symptoms that disappeared while I was busy. I was busy with other things. I was busy with my life, but it used to plague me so much. I didn't have to focus on how to make them go away. That was a symptom that terrorized me. And it just left when it was ready. It left because the volume got turned down. And when that happens and you start to notice that the dial is just naturally turned down, you may find that there may be some information for you in your symptoms, even in your thoughts. And the reason why I believe this to be true is just because when we're not living in that threat and danger mode, we begin to get reconnected to our intuition. I used to laugh when people would say like, oh, you need to trust your gut, trust your intuition. I'm like, no, because mine always tells me like life is over and that every situation that could stress me out is life ending. So I can't do that. But it became really special to me when the volume knob was turned down. I wasn't interpreting everything as a threat. I wasn't perfectly healed, but I had space now. I had space, I had capacity, I had a lower baseline. And then when these things come up, you may find that you do want to seek out a practitioner that helps. I like energy work sometimes. I like craniosacral sometimes. There are things that I tried when I was deep in my sensitization and panic loop, and I tried it because I wanted it to fix me. I wanted it to make things go away. I wanted it to make my life better. But as the sensitization shifts, so does your relationship with everything that you do, everything that you use to support yourself, whether you want to try something like journaling or meditation or these things that are really, really supportive to our body and our nervous system when we aren't quite as sensitized. And when your intuition comes online, it's interesting because it's quieter. It's more subtle. It's not these blaring alarms where in the past you would feel like you need to find a new doctor and it would be like screaming. Your intuition doesn't sound like that. It's much more quiet. It's much more sure. It's much more like steady. You have the ability and the capacity if you want to do journaling about past things that you've been through, or you want to be able to look at something, or you want to be able to sit with yourself, or you want to be able to develop a deeper level of self-compassion, or you want to be able to reparent yourself. All of these things are beautiful things when we have the capacity for them. If you don't have the capacity for them, they can actually further sensitize your system because it's just triggering a capacity that doesn't exist. And there are many different messages that you might find coming through. Just a general message of you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of your body, maybe that you need rest, maybe you need to say no to something, maybe you need to change something, relationships, jobs, maybe you're getting caught in another stressful thinking loop, and it would be helpful to observe these thoughts as they're coming in, since they're not just being rapid fired all the time, that you may have these thoughts come in that remind you, that's an old version of myself and I don't want to be that person anymore. And maybe something that is indicating that there is a belief that you have about yourself that may be worth looking into. That is all beautiful work. It is not beautiful work to do when you are in peak sensitization. And I just want to clarify, when you do get to that point in your journey, I want to just tell you, you're not going to have to go digging for it. I have found that when there are things that I need to face, they really do come up when they're ready. They feel very obvious to me. I'm not searching for them. I'm not hunting for them. I'm not trying to find them because I have some ulterior motive where I need something to go away. It's very natural. It feels like stuff that I feel drawn to do. I don't put any pressure on myself to be like, oh, if I'm going to meditate, I need to do it every day for the rest of my life. Because then we go back into that old version of ourselves who's trying to force ourselves to do something or be a perfectionist at something. I just want you to be open to recognizing this on your path, recognizing when that trust starts to return, recognizing where that intuition starts to come back, and beginning to take action on that because you feel like it's the right thing to do, not because it's what you feel like you need to do to avoid what you're feeling or to avoid any suffering. And it can be as simple as just a gentle question of, is there information for me here? When something comes up, it's like, is this an indication that something needs to change right now or that something needs to change in my life? And then you can let the answer come. or not. We don't need to seek it out. We don't need to approach it the same way we approached any type of healing in the past. Your body wants to heal. Your nervous system wants to heal. Your mind wants to heal. Those old beliefs want to be released. So don't turn this into another project. Don't turn it into problem solving. I just want you to know the difference between when it is helpful to try to see what information does this have? What is this trying to tell me? And when it's just not needed yet. It's not a no, it's a not yet. And you may not even have to do that work, but I want you to trust yourself, or trust that you will trust yourself to know when is the right time for that. So when you're in that beginning stage, I want you to remember the message for me right now is I am sensitized. The message here is everything I'm experiencing, from my thoughts, my feelings, my sensations, my pain, everything is coming from a sensitized nervous system. It is going to feel extreme. It is going to feel intense. It is going to feel life-ending. It is going to feel terrorizing. And it's all the same. It's all being driven by the same thing. That is the message. It's the most important message. It's the message that changed my life, because that understanding pointed me toward the solution that was different than any of the other solutions that I had come across. And I was looking everywhere for the thing. And the next stage you'll get to will be one where things open up. Baseline comes down, capacity goes up. You start to feel that trust coming back online, that ability to listen to the messages that your life has for you. It's a lot easier to do when there aren't constant alarms just going off everywhere you look. It would be a full-time job, and it wouldn't even be effective. So if you're spending too much time trying to decode your symptoms while you're in that beginning stage, I recommend that you stop, because there are other things that you can do that are really going to move your healing forward. And we will get to that when we get to it. I just recommend turning down the volume first and knowing that the messages that you need are going to be there when you're ready to receive them. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.